federal government has directed a downward review of the electricity tariff for Band A customers across the 11 electricity distribution companies from 225 Naira per kilowatt hour to 206 Naira 80 kobo per kilowatt hour. The marginal reduction in tariff also follows the recent unbundling of the Transmission Company of Nigeria amid other ongoing reforms. Arise correspondent Georgina Ndukwe-Ezeayenkia has details.
Public outcry following the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission's hike in tariff paid by customers in the Band A category from 68 Naira per kilowatt an hour to 225 Naira per kilowatt an hour. This outcry generated by the move has prompted an investigation into the matter by power committees in both chambers of the National Assembly. But NERC says Monday's downward review to 206 Naira 80 kobo per kilowatt per hour was done due to changes in the macroeconomic parameters over the preceding month of April 2024, and especially the appreciation of the exchange rates. Despite this action, many consumers have welcomed the marginal reduction in the tariff. Other reforms embarked upon by the government in the power sector is the unbundling of the Transmission Company of Nigeria. The electricity regulator had on Friday announced the establishment of the Nigerian Independent System Operator Limited, a function that was under the purview of the TCN. The TCN is expected to transfer all market and system operation functions to the newly formed entity. This move is in line with the provisions of the Electricity Act 2023, which provides more precise guidelines for the incorporation and licensing of independent system operator. While customers in Band A wonder why they should pay that much for power they hardly enjoy, Nigerians in other band categories believe the Band A customers are being given priority because of the amount they are charged. Others have also described the action as discriminatory. But the government hopes that these changes will result in a more efficient and affordable power supply system in Nigeria. Georgina Ndukwe-Ezeayenkia, Arise News.
Also, to improve the performance of the national grid and ensure downtime is reduced, the Transmission Company of Nigeria has put in place the Nigerian Electricity Grid Maintenance Expansion and Rehabilitation Program. In an interactive session with civil society organizations and key stakeholders in the sector, the TCN explained measures being undertaken to improve electricity supply in Nigeria. The Commission says the program is designed to expand and upgrade critical power infrastructure to totally eliminate system collapse and support an increase in the megawatts of electricity being distributed. Joining us now on the show as we review the decision of the electricity distribution companies, GenCos, is Adetunji Adeyeye, electricity market specialist for GenCos. Good morning, Mr. Adeyeye, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Well, Mr. Adeyeye, twice this morning, we've looked at a story about the latest reduction in the tariff for Band A from 225 to about 206.80 Naira per kilowatt hour. Now, many Nigerians feel that, well, even if there's this reduction, percentage is small. The explanation is because of improvement in the value of the Naira. Then also, many Nigerians also say, we don't even get this electricity, whether it's a Band A or Band whatever. The grid is always collapsing. Distribution is, ineffective. Now, could this reduction be in response to the threat that has now been issued by organized labor? During May Day, organized labor condemned the recent hike in electricity tariff. They followed up on May 3 and gave the NERC a deadline of May 12 to revise the hike in electricity. And just ahead of that ultimatum, we've seen NERC say, okay, for Band A, we have reduced it to 206. Well, for many Nigerians, even that 206 Naira is still like a death sentence. But you are a subject area expert. What do you think?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Abati. To answer your question in plain English, I would say no. The reduction that has happened through the May 2024 supplementary order of the multi-year tariff order by NERC is actually a reaction to the macroeconomics that goes around in the power sector. Don't forget that the tariff is a building block, and the building block of many macroeconomics factors, exchange rate being one of them, the volume of electricity available being one of them, inflation index being one of them, also the availability of gas and the gas transportation being one of them. So what has happened since the initial 2024 MITO order that set that 225 price? There's a lot of changes that has happened, and we must commend NERC and government for the policy direction they are going to follow through it now. So what NERC has done is to immediately, on a real-time basis, adjust to the macroeconomics indices that is shifting. So this is a testament to the fact that they say whatever goes up must come down. This is what is happening. So dollar, if you check in the past few days before now, has started coming down. There has been also an adjustment to our inflation. There has also been an increased volume in the system in terms of electricity. So these are all the building blocks that form the tariff. And when NERC now checks on a monthly basis to do their minor adjustment, they saw that there's some gain, and therefore they reflected that gain in reviewing down the price. And this to show Nigerians that at least the policy direction of government and NERC now is a good one and is the right step that will ultimately increase power, because you can now be sure that every month that NERC does this adjustment, they are going to respond to the market indices. And of course, electricity is a commercial product which respond to macroeconomics factors. So as long as we have stability in our market forces, you're going to see prices coming down. So to swing it other way to say that it's about protest or threat of protest, no, I think NERC has started doing the right thing. And by the way, the multi-year tariff order is adjusted 6 months. But because of the volatility in our system, NERC decided to take the plunge and say, we'll be adjusting every month. So if dollar keeps going down, if inflation keeps coming down, electricity tariff will be coming down as well, whereas it gives also the discos the needed cash to begin to improve and provide efficiency. So I think ultimately, if we follow through, and some of the earlier news items that they report in terms of what is happening, the unbundling of TCN, are the things that ultimately will give us the guaranteed power that we seek in this country.
All right, I hear you, Mr. Adeyeye, but another conversation, and a lot of people are asking why NERC isn't perhaps paying attention to, is the guarantee of the 20 to 24 hours of electricity. So yes, I hear you about the downward review is as a result of market forces, and it would respond to market forces and will have adjustments as and when due each month. But why are they not looking into the issue of provision, the terms of provision of electricity or power up to 20 hours in the Band A for Band A customers? If you speak to a number of people, you would understand that there is hardly a Band A customer who enjoys up to 20 hours of electricity. What is the challenge? Because remember, when the hike was announced, it was said that for discos who didn't comply by a certain period of time, there'll be penalties. I don't seem to think a number of discos have complied so far. What's the conversation on that level?
Okay, thank you. All right, so there's certainly challenges. This is not El Dorado yet, but I would say that from the NERC regulatory side and also from the operator side, even for me that comes from the GenCos space also, we are all attempting in good faith to mitigate against the constraint that exists in the system, right? So for the DISCOs customers who are not able to get 20 to 24 hours electricity, there are many factors that could contribute to that. Either network challenges, either even distribution challenges, or even the grid itself. But the good thing is that everybody is now aligned because there is now penalty in the system. You've seen that through NERC. NERC has demonstrated its ability to wield the stick to make sure they sanction the stakeholders that are not performing, right? So with that mindset, everybody is putting their hand on the desk to make sure that the services that are promised are being met. Okay.
Has any DISCO been sanctioned?
Also,
has any DISCO been sanctioned so far?
Oh yes. So about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, NERC sanctioned Abuja DISCO heavily, up to about a fine of 200 million for failure to deliver guaranteed services to the band of customers that they contracted to. NERC is currently also evaluating the data that these DISCOs are, presenting in terms of services to customer. And over the weekend, and I'm sure you would have seen that in the news, that NERC actually stepped in to make sure that electricity is electricity is curtailed for the international market. And they did that so that we can have more volume of electricity inward for Nigeria. So it's a complement, it's a buffet of action that is going on. And you see, it's a marathon. The efficiency would not manifest in a day. It takes a bit of time. So if you look at it in terms of the infrastructure improvement that is going at the interface level of both the transmission and the DISCO, work is going on, but it will take time. And these things, when they start coming together, you will see improvement. So as much as there are challenges, I'm really, really confident and happy that we are moving in the right direction in terms of both policy and also the investment and also the regulatory action that is needed to make sure everybody move in the same direction.
Mr. Adetunji, I put it to you that we are not moving in any right direction. And NERC has been totally 100% dishonest. I'm going to read this to you. According to April 2024 supplementary order to the multi-year tariff order issued by NERC themselves, the end-user cost reflective tariff for Abuja Electricity Distribution Company from April to December 2024 is supposed to be 180 Naira 0.2 per kilowatt hour. By the way, this figure has incorporated adjustment of forex rates to 1,463.31 to $1. So that even 206 is what I call GBT and Gbajue by NERC. It's against what they themselves wrote themselves. That's the number one. That's why I say we are not moving anywhere. We're just cheating, fleecing the poor Nigerians and frolicking with their emotions. I want you to react to that, number one. Number two, does NERC even have the gravitas, based on empirical fact and law, to even set the tariff in the first place? This was the same NERC that under the legal framework established by Electricity Act 2023, states now have the authority to manage and regulate the electricity markets and to even set electricity tariffs within their states. So should NERC be violating a law on ground, Electricity Act 2023, to set regulatory tariff? We remember the case recently when they launched the case of Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission. That was exclusive right now to set and adopt end-user electricity tariff within Enugu states. So who is confusing who here?
Okay. Thank you, Rufai. I would respectfully disagree with you on point one.
Yes.
Of course, the data that you quoted, it's not the total basket, right? So in the MITO tariff system, right, there are different classification of customers. So, of course, you have what they call lifeline. These are the customer that pays only 4 Naira per kilowatt for electricity that they consume. And these customers are real, they exist, they are in a rural area. Those customers are there in that mix. Then there's the average categories of customer that you cited, the cost reflected tariff that you read out to me. But you see, it's also service-based tariff, right? So because it's service-based tariff, the services for all the cost-reflected tariff for these services will vary. So the data you gave were just the middle line or the middle block of the electricity customer. So you didn't check the very lower end that are paying for Naira, and of course the high end that are getting 20 to 20, are supposed to get 20 to 24 hours. So if you put all of that into a basket, really, the cost of electricity tariff in Nigeria is well over 220 or 230 Naira, right? So, but because NERC doesn't want the rate shock in the system, they have to make sure that certain customers are pegged to a service band that is commensurate to the, to the electricity they receive. So, in setting out band A, they're saying that if a certain group of customers are getting more electricity, then they should pay almost near the real cost of electricity, and then they peg the remaining one. So, really,
can I give a rebuttal?
It's not yes, please go ahead.
I have a rebuttal, sir. Based on empirical fact, I totally disagree with you. Because this 180 for kilowatt hour was the rate for the highest band A, in that report, at the rate of 1,463 Naira to the dollar. Today, dollar to Naira is not even nearing that amount. It's less than that amount. It's at about 1,003 something on the official market. So, even as at this threshold was higher,
you remember that
that was supposed to give you this 180. And it was their own report that they released. And this was, sir, with due respect, please, hang on a minute. This was supposed to be the adjusted figure from April to December 2024. It was their report.
Correct. Okay. So, Rufai, I started earlier by saying there are multiple economic factors that plays into the tariff modeling that we have in Nigeria. So, foreign exchange rate is just one of them. You have inflation. You have to check the current Nigerian inflation. You also have to check the U.S. inflation index rate. You have to check what exactly is available in terms of quantum of electricity. You have to check also the cost of gas, because most of our electricity is produced from gas. You have to also check the cost of gas transportation costs. So when you put all of that together, they move from day to day. So the fact that it was X amount in April or in January when NERC came out with those report or analysis, it's not the same today. So as long as we have the macroeconomics variable, you are going to have a shift in price of electricity. And that's what exactly has happened now. And when you saw downward movement in the macroeconomics indices, you saw the price going down. So, Rufai, you have to look at it holistically. It's not only Forex, for instance, that
it also,
really determines the cost of electricity.
This report also accounted for gas being at $2.18 MMBTU to 2.242 MMBTU. That's what this report also accounted for. And inflation has not changed. Inflation is still over 33%. In fact, inflation has grown since the time this report happened to this now. So why did it come down? Why did it come down? So if you are accounting for inflation, inflation has gone up. There's no empiricals in the analysis. That's one. The second question will be as regards the state's electricity the State Electricity Regulatory Board now setting the tariff. So why is NERC still doing it in violation of the Electricity Act 2023? Please, can you throw more light?
Okay, Rufai, again, also there, I would respectfully disagree with you. The Electricity Act does not give absolute power to the State Electricity Regulatory Commission to set tariff. In fact, the Electricity Act indeed even strengthened and empowered NERC to be the national regulatory body for electricity in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, they are even strengthened to do what they're doing now. If anything at all, the Electricity Act actually only recognized the right of state to, in some form and in some shape, and to a very limited extent, regulate the electricity market within their borders. It doesn't. They have not usurped or replaced the right or the powers of NERC to be the regulator for the power sector in Nigeria. In fact, I will challenge you to go again back to the Electricity Act. You'll find that is the contrary of
So, sir,
the submission that you made.
Sir, I respectfully disagree with you again. Because based on empirical facts, according to NERC, when NERC was being reported here, they said the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission can now hold exclusive authority to set and adopt end-user electricity tariff within Enugu State, tailoring these charges to local conditions and requirements. It is NERC that officially transferred the regulatory oversight to Enugu electricity markets. That's the EERC, effective from May 1, 2024. This marks the first time NERC has delegated such authority to a state-owned regulatory body. So it is according to the NERC that say they can, I'm talking about the EERC, Enugu Electricity Commission, to go ahead and make tariffs. The NERC speaking, not me here.
Okay, so I don't have that report you're quoting, El-Rufai, but the question that I will ask you is this. The licenses that the operators have currently in the market was issued by who? It was issued by NERC, not Enugu State Electricity Regulatory Commission. So therefore, Enugu State Electricity Commission that has not issued any licenses cannot actually, totally, and in all absolute terms, regulate the actions of a licensee that they didn't issue. So to the extent that you are reading the report, I want to be able to tell you that I don't have that report, so I may not be able to really counter you in that.
No, so for further reading,
fact, but I'm guided by the Nigeria.
For further reading, you can go and read Nairametrics, NERC seed regulatory oversight of Enugu electricity market to state government. It was issued 2 weeks ago on Nairametrics. You can go and read it for further reports, sir. Thank you. Dr. Bati?
Okay, clearly, see, the Electricity Act...
So what is important for me is the electricity...
I was going to say, the Electricity Act 2023 also makes provision for integrated collaboration between the states and the federal government. There are hybrid provisions under that act. Now, the states, yes, they have power to license people and all of that to generate electricity to transmit. But where they use the national grid, they will have to be, you will still have the NERC as the main regulator because there's transmission, there's generation, and then you have the discourse. But the devil is in the details. Professor Yemi Oke already has a very detailed book on this subject, the Electricity Act 2023, where he tries to explain the various details. But let me go back to something you raised. You made the point that whatever goes up must come down. I thought that was a bit optimistic. It's called the universal law of gravitation. What goes up must come down. But in Nigeria, when it comes to prices, things don't come down here. They stay up. Look at the cost of fuel. So please, I hope you are not giving Nigerians false hope. Because tomorrow, using your explanation about the value of the Naira inflation rate, what you are saying invariably is that if there is any further drop in the value of Naira, we face a situation where NERC will say, oh, in Bandeo, we should start paying 400 Naira per kilowatt hour, depending on how it goes. So I just need you to clarify, that you are not giving people any false hope. However, you just brushed aside the protest by NLC and TUC. Is that your way of suggesting that they don't have any stake in the matter and that their ultimatum that they are given NLC is of no consequence whatsoever?
Okay, so what I know, Dr. Abati, for sure about the NLC and the NUC issue that you raised is that NERC does not respond, and I'm not holding brief from NERC, I'm not speaking from, they don't respond to political or social conversation to regulate electricity. They regulate electricity based on the powers that are given and are based on the coordination of the stakeholders within the market. So to your point of possible price going up in the future, You know, I mean, that's why NERC is there, and that's why government is there. Government is there, NERC is there to play a role to ensure that there's never a rate shock in Nigeria, that whatever rate that is set for any services and product that we consume in Nigeria is manageable and at least guarantee a fair opportunity for investors in that sector to recover their costs, at the same time balancing customers' interest to make sure that they get fair and good service for their money. Right. To also, again, add to that point, I don't think it's a false promise or it's to, gaslight Nigeria to say that prices will keep coming down. Prices will keep coming down as long as we get fundamentals right in terms of our economics in this nation. If, things keep improving, certainly it will go down. You are also, Dr. Abati, also a witness to what has happened in the telecom sector. When they started, prices was so high, I couldn't even afford it at the time. But today, I could not only afford, but also buy for my family and children. So the same thing would happen in a sector that is well regulated, where there's incentive for investor to recover their costs, and at the same time, customers do get value for services. So I don't see a situation where prices will keep going up indefinitely. In fact, I see, on the contrary, with the policy direction that I see happening now in the market, within the effort that is the government is taking in terms of expanding our gas infrastructure, the tariff in electricity would at some point come down in Nigeria.
Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. Thank you very much indeed.